Hi, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me all the way down there. It's the team, the configuration committee and the board is kind of holding its time together. It's just a listening session. There's no calling to order a meeting. We're here, we are recording them so for the benefit of other town members so that they're able to hear what we have to share with us today. And we're surrounded by friends. It's very informal. The members of the configuration committee right now here are the two of us, so we're gonna, and then we have two of our board members, which I would like for them to be the first ones to introduce themselves, and then maybe we'll go around and introduce ourselves. More residents coming. So, Elise, do you wanna start introducing, and then go to Catherine, and then we'll go around?
Yeah.
The table, is that okay?
As folks come in, if we just can make space in our circle for folks to join.
Adam is here.
And that might require some backup, but just like, so that we're all a part of one conversation. Okay, sorry, Elise.
My name's Elise. I am a junior at U32 and I'm one of the student representatives on the school board. And I live in East Montpelier. I'm Catherine. I'm a junior at U32. I'm a student representative on the school board and I live in East Montpelier.
I'm Sarah. I'm a parent of two boys here at Berlin Elementary, and I live in Berlin.
Matt Shambaugh, I live in Berlin, and I have two kids that went to school here a couple decades ago.
Diane Nichols Fleming, a board member from Berlin. I taught at Berlin, my husband taught at Berlin, and our kids went to Berlin. So.
I'm Amber Peter. I am a parent and Berlin resident.
And I am Amber's other half. And we have two kids that we go here, one that's grand.
You're Tom, right?
Yes.
Celia Guggenheim. I'm the principal here in the building. I'm also a Berlin resident, and my daughter will be in school here as a kindergartner next year.
No, I think, sorry. I'm Flor Smith. I live in Montpelier. Kids that went through the school system. One is in college and the other one is working in DC. And I'm the chair of this school board. So to be with you.
I'm Heidi Dimmick. I am a Berlin resident. I am the HR director for the school district, and my daughter graduated from U32.
I'm Becca Tatishef. I am the current principal at U32 Middle and High School. I'm also current at U32 Middle and High School. A 10th grader who will sneak in later. And also a resident of East Montpelier.
Brooke. I have 3 kids at Berlin currently.
I'm Jen Gordman, Berlin resident. We have 4 kids, 2 who go here, a senior at U32, and our oldest graduated from U32 in Connected Circles 2 years ago.
Kelly Swinglehurst, Berlin resident. I have a first grader and a kiddo who's going to join the PK program next year.
I'm Lily, a Berlin resident, and I have 2 kids who go to school here.
Sharon Bailey, Berlin resident, 2 kids.
Yeah, Adam French, Berlin residents, and I have 2 children at
Amber Acton, married to Adam. 2 children here, live in Berlin.
Jessica Ajitsi, Berlin resident, 2 kids that go here and work here at Berlin.
I'm Danielle Anzalone, and I also have 2 children, one here and one will be coming next year, and we also live in Berlin.
So, do you want to set the tone or not?
I'm going to start a little bit and then we'll try to practice.
Yes, that sounds great. So tonight we put some information out for you guys in Front Porch Forum. We have until 8:15 to, maybe we should add another table. Let's add another. We're back. You guys.
Hey, how have I been? We're gonna try to
like maybe make our circle a little bit bigger.
Nice try, ladies.
She's so close.
I know, right? She's not in the DC.
Good luck,
I'm gonna run you, are we gonna break into table groups, or are we gonna do one big group? Can I just put it? Oops, sorry, Becca, what do you do?
We're gonna start in one big group and then we will end up like in some smaller spaces, but I think we're gonna try and I'll tell a little bit about like, we have this practice, you have this practice in your elementary schools of being in circle because it creates a space where like, it symbolizes equity, it symbolizes that we see each other and we can make eye contact and have a connected conversation. So being in circles settles us in that space of this is about dialogue, it's not just about information sharing. And so that's the reason that we kind of like, at least at U32 and in restorative practice, we sit in circle.
Yeah, so we can break up into two groups, we're just gonna set some context right now. So as you know, we are considering what is the best configuration and having a roadmap for our district, grounded in our core beliefs and our strategic plan. We put this little, the sun is bright, not that huge. Welcome, thank you. Yeah, thank you for your. So I don't, I'm gonna try to go all the way, not all the way back, but just set some context. We've been having for 4 years ago, we started to have the conversations as a community in what our core beliefs were. After that, after we understood what our core beliefs were as communities and as staff and as the school board and the administrators, we then moved into what is our strategic plan and what are our strategic plan goals. And within that, for years, and this goes back 10 years too, we've been having conversation about how we structure the best way to serve all our kids, trying to ground it in best outcomes for all our students, also understanding all of our communities' identities and how important their schools are for them. So with that, we created some criteria, some benchmarks. Today, I'm not gonna go over the criteria, I'm not gonna go over the benchmarks, because that's what we've been doing in board meetings. What we want today is just really to have a conversation with you. You have this little map here, which represents a multi-town vision for schools for us. So basically, it's like what we were saying here is that how do we grow school and grow community as a 5-town this school district, right? So how do we best use our resources, our staff, and our collective wisdom as community members to support all of our kids in our school district? So this is just a visual, the configuration committee, a visual and an initial model. This is where we landed after going through all that exercise. So and when I say benchmarks, the benchmarks were informed by a survey that we did with the community, and they were getting some that remember some things, and they were guided by not just the core beliefs, but all of those conversations that we've been having. And it's not just about Act 73, this is a conversation that we give. This is not because of Act 73, this is because of the conversation that we've been having internally, us as a district, and how best we can serve our kids, and understanding that we also have finite amount of resources to support all of our kids. And with that, I don't wanna take it, so the goals of is our commitment, as you can see there, is to create an education system that is consistent, is equitable, and that is for all our students in our communities. So that they all have the instructional opportunities that align with our strategic plan. So I'm not gonna go through class sizes, travel time, and all of that, because what I wanna focus on today is the questions, and then internally, let's break up into groups, and then we'll go over 10 questions, and I don't know if there's anything that I've missed that maybe Celia or Diane or anybody else wants to. This is important for us, as we are gonna bring this back to the board as we make decisions. Yes?
Can I ask a question before we answer those questions?
Sure.
So I'm curious about how this intersects with the statewide school redistricting and what you think the benefits are of reconfiguring ahead of that process.
Yeah, and sorry, I use lingo for that, so the conversation of redistricting, that is Act 73. That was before what they call H 54. The conversations that we've been having, so first we had Act 46, if some people would remember that, it was, and we were forced to merge as communities. We used to have one board per elementary school, and then we were merged to have one board that was for the entire district, so we could have alignment on what we wanted for our kids in the most simple words, so that when kids were getting into 7th grade at the middle school, we all had an understanding of what they should be learning, right? And all of that work has been happening at different levels, but we were able to have a pre-K to 12, and then because we have a pre-K to 12 alignment of what we all wanted for kids in that one system. So instead of being a system of schools, we were one school system for all of our kids in the district. What the district task force is asking us to do right now is much broader, and we are not, it's not like a destruction for us, but that is not the reason we're having this conversation. The reason we're having this conversation right now, and it is influenced by that, because also we would be able to have a better handle in our future, right, in what we want as communities for our kids, as opposed to somebody telling us this is how you should be, this is how you should be doing it. But we're doing this because we are at a moment in our district that we've been saying for a little while, and we don't have enough resources to provide what all of our students need. So I'll give you a, not theoretical, but for example, at one of our smallest schools next year, we don't have enough kindergartners. We have 3 kindergartners at that, at Worcester, for example. So we already do pre-K in Romney, which is the middle school. So next year, we more than likely be looking at having the kindergartens also go to Romney, because a class of 3 is not good for, not because we don't wanna fund another teacher, but it's not what is best for kids, right? 3 kindergartners, there's not enough diversity of thought. You have one kid that is, that makes a mistake. They don't have enough peers to be able to do new friendships or to learn similarly. So I don't think that we need to wait for Act 73, because what we do have is a strategic plan that's almost 2 years old that we are trying to operationalize. So if we really, as communities, want to make a reality what is the best outcomes for our kids, the kids don't have a year to lose, right? That is sort of like, and it's not perfect. Obviously, as any other person, I might have my own blind spots, but I just recognizing that's why we are here, to hear what you have to say. Mr. Adam, do you have, what, you have a suspicious face.
No, I'm looking at this kind of.
Oh, is that, I was like, what did I say?
Just checking everybody out.
Just like pass them around.
Yeah.
I just want to
There's no
clarify that, check in on what your part of what your question is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm also wondering, did that come into the configuration conversation at all, in terms of the timeline, and what the ripples are here and there, and that, and that, I'm wondering if that was part of your question.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that it was in the minutes for the configuration committee where people were asking about that timeline, because if the state comes in and changes the school districts and they decide, here's what we want you to do, and that's for the 2028 school year, if we switch everything up next year and then potentially have to switch it again, does that make sense? Or like if the state comes in and changes it, do the towns need to vote to close those schools? Or do they just do it for us and there's no fighting amongst our community? So I think in a straight line, and I'm just wondering, why do you think it makes sense to reconfigure right now versus have the state do it. And I hear what you're saying about control, but ultimately they could like change it a lot of ways. Not an opinion, I
No,
like
no,
the
yeah.
plan, but
Yeah.
I'm curious about
Yeah, you wanna jump in?
Yeah. I'm happy to sort of say some thinking. I wanna be clear that this is like thinking, it is not inherent. We are in a moment in which there is lots of uncertainty, and there hasn't been sort of a clear direction from the state, right? The redistricting task force is still meeting that proposal, then goes through the process, right? To get, and then there's an implementation timeline. All of those things are unknown to us in this moment. So, and at the same time, from a stance of opportunity, the ways in which redistricting and in particular consolidation is being talked about are in terms of the same things that are being talked about in our configuration committee. And so in that way, being able to say, we actually have done this. We have some experience doing this. Our schools are right size. They are providing programming. They are aligned. We have thought about these things. Positions the Washington Central School District to be able to A, be a model, and B, be sustainable. And in a state where there is a lot of unknown, that seems like not a bad thing. And so whether you couch that as control, or you couch that as, we actually are gonna be on the forefront of making some decisions in order to be a model for how we believe school can happen in this state, is up to you. That is your perspective to share. I think from my experience on the configuration committee, the conversations that we're having are the conversations that the state is having too. So there is not a difference between, there's not a misalignment there. It's not like you were saying, let's stay small, and the state is saying, no, we need to consolidate. That's not the conversation that's happening. Does that help?
That's super helpful. Any other clarifying questions before we move into?
I've got a comment about one of the things here. It's not relevant to the conversation here, but the goals and commitments and principles and all of that are wonderful, and the idea of getting our kids an excellent education and our staff an excellent workspace is good, but this compensation at the bottom here, I can't agree with. It says offering employee compensation packages that are not only competitive with, but exceed those of neighboring districts. That can't possibly be our policy, but we're to outbid all of the other neighboring towns, and whenever Montpelier says we're gonna give a 5% pay raise, we're gonna say, okay, we're gonna give a 7% pay raise. That can't be our policy, it's not sustainable.
Yeah, and I'm sorry for, I was part of it, so I can take that, when not, what we were trying to say is one of the, we value our staff. That is not something that automatically happens. We go in negotiations, right?
Of course,
Diane
but
sits in
that's not a
negotiations and-
negotiated position, that we're gonna
Yeah,
give you more than your neighbors. That can't be a way to go into negotiations, that we're gonna outbid all of our neighbors, because it's a spiral. It's not
Point well
sustainable.
taken, I'll update,
It can't be
I'll update that, and that was not what I was
Oh,
trying to,
so I
what I
just
was
wanted
trying to
to-
say. What I was trying to say is we wanna make sure that we support
Of
our
course.
staff and that they
And
have,
they're competitive.
and that we're competitive,
Of course,
yeah,
yes.
good point.
And that is currently true.
And that's
Yes.
currently true.
So to be clear.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
currently, yeah,
true.
yeah, and then,
It just.
and then
that
staff can
just-
cover their ears,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, staff can cover their ears, but I would love a statewide calendar and contract.
I
So that
would
all of our
too.
rural schools, so that
Makes
teachers would
total
make
sense.
what they need and be able to live in the Northeast Kingdom, so
Yeah, as
So
a retired
that's a
state
completely
employee,
other-
it's wonderful to have this statewide contract.
Yes,
Yes.
but you didn't hear me say, you didn't hear me say that.
That's
We're going
fine.
into negotiations, so I'm should be quiet.
So-
So, she moved.
Yeah, we should move. I'm gonna make the bold
You make the bold
suggestion
suggestion.
that we actually count off into 4 groups and we get into groups of 4. Because I know that sometimes you're sitting with somebody who you might have already had a conversation about this with. Maybe they're your partner, maybe you live close to them. And part of our kind of job is to think about,
So we're, okay.
yep, so we'll be out and then we'll be the 4 who just go into groups and listen. And then you're gonna count off by 4. You know, it's a little, I just like, I'm like braving the space right now.
We're,
Just making sure.
And like, some of us are juggling kids.
Yep.
There, so.
You can go back. Yeah.
We'll check on
I
it.
want to, I have to do three.
maybe grab your,
Let's just do
like,
3 groups,
yeah,
let's just do 3 groups.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was your-
3 groups, and then once you know what your group is, then you can go
Thank you.
check it and make sure they haven't like eaten each other.
They will be safe.
It's tied up,
Yeah.
We're not eating cupcakes.
There are U32
So you're taking 4.
Oh, I'm sorry, 3. We're gonna count, we're gonna start over, friends.
Yeah.
We're gonna start over. All right, we're gonna go 3.
Yeah.
We're gonna start with 1.
Practice.
We can do this, team, I believe in us.
2.
Oh, these are big numbers.
2.
1.
3.
Good job.
Elson, we're gonna be one, it's the other way from computer.
2.
3.
Do you want these? Yep. 2. Perfect. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, so.
We're gonna have ones here.
So you're
Is that
gonna take
okay?
the ones?
Yep, I'll take the
Okay.
1s, the 2s.
I'm gonna give Flor the closing marks, and then I promise we can connect for just another second.
Yeah, so thank you for coming, this is super important for us, we really appreciate your time, and we know how busy you guys are, and this is about building community. We were just sharing in our table that we're all interconnected, so even though you do not live in Calais, or you do not live in Worcester, or you do not live in Middlesex, the decisions that we take or not take affect us all, because we are completely interconnected, and we're here for all of our kids. So when you go out and have those conversations at the soccer field, at the baseball field, or whatever, just, you know, like, be kind to your neighbors that might be feeling a little different than you, and at the same time share how you feel about it, because it's not just about the board or the leadership team or the superintendent, it's about us all doing the future of our kids together. So hopefully that's what you will go out with. I really appreciate all your insights. I can't wait to hear what the different groups have to say.
And I haven't heard it said, but I gotta say it out loud. This
See.
is what's going on out here, a lot of parents in the room with children. And have that available to bring our kids to be able to show them. It's huge.
That's huge, yeah.
Thank you.
Keep saying those things.
Thanks,
I've
sis.
heard a lot tonight how important community events are that build bridges, cross boundaries.
Same.
Please keep talking about that. It is what makes us unique as a community. And Flor, I heard some questions in our group about like concrete next steps, like when's the next time that this is gonna be talked about?
Yeah.
What's the board doing?
Yeah, so the next time that we're gonna get all the feedback from you guys. We're sending a survey, hopefully tomorrow it'll be ready, and if we send up, the minutes posted in Front Forum for people that were not able to come to this meeting. We're holding, Daniel has volunteered, we're holding an online meeting for people that were not able to come. I believe it's next Tuesday, we're gonna post that tomorrow because he just volunteered today. And we're gonna hold that, that's the 10th, I think, that's Tuesday.
Is it on Tuesday? That's it.
11th. So, yeah, so is it Monday or Tuesday? I'm gonna have to double check, he literally just texted me. So we'll do an online meeting too. The next time that the board is gonna look at the feedback of this on the 19th, November 19th is our next configuration meeting and board meeting. And then after that, on December 3rd, we're hoping that the board will make a decision on recommending this so that we can start budgeting around this model. And then on that day, if the board is agreeable to this, we will put an article to vote on January for the towns affected by any potential school closures as we build community multi-town schools. They would have the ability to vote in January, so 3rd is 30 days, so like January 13th. And the reason for that is because on January, we have our calendar for, and you can see it in the configuration committee calendar too, but we have our budgeting calendar says that we need, not says, but by law, we need by January 21st, we need to be all behind a budget that we're presenting to the voters in March at our town meeting. So yes, it feels like a rapid moving, but we've been talking about this for several years. So we slowed it down last year. We had an efficiency study done 10 years ago. I think that now that we have our core values, our strategic plan, and the new community schools and community connections, I think that I feel like we're the best place that we've been in a little while, and I'm sure Steve feels like me too, but I do feel like that it's exciting what we can do for our kids, but that is a concrete, and it is not like theoretical. We would need to make a decision by January 21st on what budget we're gonna present to you.
And would it then be implemented the following school year?
And it will be implemented the
This
following school year,
configuration.
and then that would allow us to have time to think about transition. Having said that, depending on the feedback that we have, is like, Stephen would have to have the conversations with Becca, for example, is the middle school ready for next year? Or it's the following year, but don't get sort of hang on the middle school, because that's not what is going out to vote, right? Like, as a district, our leadership team does not need approval from the board or from the town on moving sixth graders, right? What we're doing right now is just being holistic about how we move. Of course, it's always better when you move together with the community, but at least in my group, there was several of them that wish it had been done for their kids now, their kids are ready. So that was a long run to say, we need to make a decision by January 21st on what budget we're gonna present to our voters.
So December 3rd is that right?
December 3rd.
December 3rd is when the board would make a decision to either move this proposal forward or
To the
stay.
voters.
To the voters, yeah.
Well,
Just a quick question.
Yes.
Is it just Callis and Worcester that would vote, or do we all vote on
No, it's
this
just, Callis, it's a
concept?
good question. Part of our articles of agreement, when we came together as Act 46, is like the town, the fact that gets to vote in closure or not closure of their schools, so we would need to
So
present.
you're not.
So Worcester is having this same conversation as a community
Sure.
today, and Callis is doing the
Thank
same,
you.
it's the same thing, but they are the ones that get
Yeah,
to
I was just
vote.
wondering if we were-
Yeah, and several of them is like, they were not able to vote before, and a lot of them are looking forward to at least having the vote. Diane, you were gonna say something?
It'll happen at like 2 a.m.
Yeah, and you guys can always email us and again, keep sharing that you love the community events across and how we continue to do that. Like the field day, that was really awesome and things like that, so.
I will also just say on that point, that having U32 students being here to take care of the little guys is really great. So I appreciate that cross-school experience.
two things. One is, because our group did have a lot of questions about the moving of sixth grade. And so one of the requests was as specific as we could be about. So we might not know about the building, but that was what a lot of the questions were, around the culture, the building, and that. So I think for families, that is a big part of it. I think the clear, what is being voted on is whether or not those two schools will close. The board is the one that is deciding about the configuration or non-configuration. And then the other thing I wanted to say too is that there is still an open spot on the Berlin, and so it would be great if you know of somebody, or if you yourself would be interested, it would be great.
What is the length of the term? Because you'll be taking over that empty seat, right?
That's a good
It's
question.
just, there's just 1 year left on that term, and right now you would, and basically the way that we do it right now, because it would be, if you started, we appointed you in December 3rd, let's say. Time to say your next November 19th.
Nope,
In
how
case
about
you're ready
November
for
19th?
November 19th. So if you're ready for November 19th, we could do that, and then you will serve from November 19th until March, and then in March you would be on the ballot, right? So it would be on a 3-year term for Berlin. But even if you accept a 3-year term, it's not like you're chained to us. Like if you decide, hopefully we would make it exciting enough and there's no expertise needed, like we're all learning, it doesn't matter, I've been doing it for a while and I learn every year.
you know, we do budget learning every year, is about having that diversity of thought in that community, and also believing that all kids can learn, and that we can hear, we have a public education, so that we can be accepted in this country. So, yeah, so there's no expertise needed, and just the
Just
willing
the
to help
letter.
and serve in, you know,
It's a letter to.
yeah, a letter to the board chair, and,
And you can
And
feel
that's it.
free to reach out to Keely Sloan and myself
Yeah.
too.
if you have any questions about commitment or how many
Okay.
meetings, you can ask them. That'd be great, thank you for being here, thank you to our students
Yes.
for being
Thank
here,
you.
taking
Thank
notes.
you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
It's nice to
lovely
meet you
evening.
all.